Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Hope everybody is doing well. We uploaded one over on Heart's Ohm today, talking about using the elements to heal and strengthen yourself, and also looking at our makeup in more ways than one. And no, we're not talking about that type of makeup.
It was really cool. I feel it's some sort of a visitor in the beginning, but to each his own.
Yeah, most definitely some really interesting light being shed. And again, EEARTS, where this one's going up, and also on Evolutionary. So I guess this is one of the biggest news stories of the day. There was a tanker explosion on I95 in Philadelphia. I cannot think of a thruway that would have more cars on it anywhere in the country than I-95. I mean, I haven't seen stats, but I bet you it is the most traveled on road in the entire nation. This is north-south. This is from New England all the way on down to Florida. And right now you have a section of it that's impassable. This is huge. This is really, really big. And if you want to, well, let's just say if you wanted to disrupt things, and if other events were to follow in which people might be looking to move out of a certain area, cutting off I-95, can't think of anything that would be more difficult, for the people to try to get out of the area. This is the main highway, again, all the way from, Boston all the way down to Miami. This is huge.
It is. It's really huge. And we do have some things going on which really are head scratchers lately, but they're definitely not coincidences either. There's so many other things going on in our our governmental sphere of influence. There's so many things going on right now. They really do. They need people distracted, having attention a million different places, and just really having us thrown in the air like a bag of chips and making us feel like we are not grounded or centered. And I don't think this is going to be the only one. We have that very curious planetary alignment taking a shift today, and I think there's going to be more to that. I think there's something here that's going to continue on.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, absolutely. It feels like we're entering a much more challenging phase. And, again, what could this be? Could this just be, an oil tanker, a gas tanker? It feels like there's got to be something else aboard that was more, that would indicate why it was so powerful. I mean, this just wiped out 95 in Philadelphia. And this is going to take, probably months to correct. And it's just going to be a traffic nightmare. So, yeah, I mean, if you saw something else happen on, say, 5 in California, or some of the big cross thoroughfares like 20 and 40 going across, we're getting close to some really big actions. And they also were concerned with what's burning off into the air, because they didn't know at the time of putting this together. In Canada, you got the wildfires intensify, could last all summer. And, all the climate change people are coming out of the woodwork. It feels like a lot of them are fake accounts on Twitter. They're just bots that are just chirping the same thing. See, it's all climate change is what they're saying. See, it's all climate change. What about all those people arrested for arson? It's all climate change. Urgh.
I mean, it really, the story gets old, but they keep shelling it out there again and again and again. And, people, we just got to keep going. They're going to keep going with their march. We need to keep going with our march as far as being independent is concerned. We don't want to rely on those external services. We don't want to buy into their help in any way, shape, or form. We want to be able to stand on our own. So we're not taken advantage of by them. I know they come in and they say, oh, we're here to help you. Here, apply for this, apply for that, apply for here, do this, do that. No, those are all traps, and we have to stay clear of them.
Yeah. Dr. John Coleman was talking about the excess deaths, and, you'll have the media harp on certain things. You'll have the politicians harp on certain things. But why aren't they talking about that? That in normal times wouldn't have died, and they have died. And there's nothing, not a peep. No, of course not. We all understand that. Because again, it's the same thing with when we look at our numbers, and it's like, wow, okay, 99.7% approval. It's because it's the only the hardcore people that are going to get to see this. Nobody, if you guys aren't looking for us, you're not going to find us. Because again, we're not part of the system, and we're not pushing what they want pushed. Zelensky belatedly confirms that major Ukraine offensive has begun. Yeah, again, the timing of everything. Now they're going to be letting different things out. There's many more laws that are coming. It doesn't matter if 99% of the people are completely against it. They're going to just press straight ahead. And so this is talking about Taiwanese defense monitoring 4 Chinese ships carrying combat forces on standby in the Taiwan Strait. Again, that could go at any time, but then again, China said Taiwan's nothing. It really is nothing. They view it as part of China, but it's nothing. They need Canada. They need Australia. They need the United States if they're going to feed their people. China has ordered 15,000 Shahed 136 drones with different engines from Iran to be used for that potential war with Taiwan, Japan, and Australia. As again, the lines are being drawn. The West planning second Ukraine and Eastern European state, and we're talking about Moldova. And, how Moldova is now cutting off kind of all the ties to part of what was a group that came out from after the breakup of the Soviet Union, the CIS, which still maintained some emergency interactivity where different former republics of the Soviet Union would work together in case of emergencies. Well, they're going the route of heading over towards NATO. And so, we understand it's just a matter of time. It's when the timing suits them. They're giving us lots of stuff to look at, that's for sure. Republican senators introduce the Endless Wars Act. So they want to repeal the 2001 authorization for the use of military force that was passed in the wake of September 11th. As we know, they'll tell us that 4.5 to 5 million people have died in the wars that the U.S. has brought on in reprisal, quote unquote, to, September 11th. And now, again, there's no war that needs to be declared by Congress. It's just, the president sends wherever the president wants to send troops and starts one war after another. So we have Rand Paul, Mike Lee, J.D. Vance, and Mike Braun putting out this act 180 days after this gets approved. If it gets approved, which it probably won't get approved, that would stop the ability of the president from, doing this. But, that's 6 months. Do we really know what the state of the country is going to be in 6 months at this point in time? Hey, it might get pushed through. Maybe it does, because chances are, we're going to have some major things on hand that it might not even matter at that point. We could be in a full-fledged civil war, or absolutely having the sleeper cells, wake up and, all chaos. So, we know this is part of the system The system is trying to get everybody enraged at this point in time. They just want to see how far they could push you before you're going to become part of the problem and not the solution.
You know, the biggest clown show really is in Washington. All of these plans to let's pass this law, let's enact that thing, let's make sure we stop this over here, let's get this started over there. The only thing that ever happens for sure is taxes go up and laws get strengthened and we get less freedoms. That's what happens no matter who says what.
It's just amazing how here in the West, unfortunately, we don't always pay attention to some numbers and some things. The Iraq population is only 43.5 million people. 43.5 million people. And you have 1,220,580 Iraqis that died with the U.S. invasion and everything that came thereafter. Famine, disease. This is part of the reveal too, because usually famine and disease after a war, during and after, kills more people than the actual war. This is 1 out of every 42, 41 people. Can you imagine that if that happened here in the U.S.? Or any other NATO nation? It's almost like there's not enough people calling this out for the atrocity that it is.
And there might be enough people calling it out, but the powers that think they truly are, they're going to continue to do whatever they want. And that's the hard part to really let go of, is release the fact that there's someone else in control that might do something that's going to benefit you. We have to let that go because they're steering the ship in the direction they want to steer it in, regardless of what we say. And, it's not about, do I have, if I don't choose this and if I don't choose that, well, what do I choose? I have to choose one or the other, don't I? I just have to. No, you don't. You can choose team you, and you can really hone in on your life, on your home, on your health, and focus completely on you and help other people do the same.
California advances a bill to help shoplifters. We kid you not. California has turned into, and it's been going on for a long time, the upside down state, the inside out state. It's the right is wrong state and the wrong is right state. It's just insane, everything we see in California. And again, it's part of that agenda of destroying every little bit of moral fiber that's left in this country. And it is being fomented, to use the words of Albert Pike, as he was always talking about the agent provocateur of the Illuminati. I think that's how it, provocateur of the Illuminati, that would put into motion these plans. It's moral decay. It's completely rotting. It's a cesspool. And when you look at the cities, they're just, it's mind-boggling. But it's happened before. And if we really look closely at history, it happens all the time. It really, really does. This is part of what happens when you have these empires that crumble. And don't think it's not on purpose. It's totally on purpose. California bill would punish parents for misgendering children. Parents who refuse to affirm their own child's gender as abusive could result in the loss of the kids. I mean, so literally, if you go against what the state or the country, because if you just look at 46s or the person that's portraying 46, because as we know, the original JB's been gone a long time, he's talking about the same things. So if you go against if you feel there's something that just, it doesn't sit right with you,
You're not allowed to disagree.
You can't disagree. They might take your kids from you.
Right.
Just that simple.
Right. And this is the slow pull children out of the home and decide what is best for them, because you, as a parent who actually gave birth to this child, you do not know enough to help this child grow up. And they've been doing this for so long, starting preschool as early as 3 years old. And even before that, daycares. And I know, I get it. We need time away from the kids sometimes. Parents have to work, but we've really kind of painted ourselves into a corner. I think the best thing that parents can do is homeschool. Homeschool, it's not easy. It's quite difficult, but it is so rewarding, because the information that comes across the desk goes across your eyes too. And then you know exactly what your children are looking at. And you know what? If you disagree, you can have a talk with your child saying, okay, this is what this says here, but my own personal experience has been this. And having your child, maybe so they're not so locked into the system, and realize that there's alternatives to everything. I think that was one of my biggest problems growing up, is that I thought that everything, all the information coming in, was just the word of God. I thought I had to listen to it and abide by it. I didn't know there was any alternatives. And we need to start showing our children that there's another way to do things. And wouldn't you think, I think it's so important we should have children knowing how to build a house. Children should know how to tend a garden, grow their own food, raise farm animals, know how to raise and sell farm animals. That was a blessing that I did have in my house. I was very lucky that we had farm animals, and I would spend so much time out with my farm animals. And that's what really raised me and gave me my freedom. I absolutely loved my childhood. And I was even into auctions and buying and selling when I was, oh my gosh, probably 9 or 10. I got into that. I'm like, hey, I have this saddle. If I sell this saddle, I can get this calf. And then you raise the calf, and you name it nice, you treat it nice, send it off to freezer camp, and you get that money too. And that's just a realistic way of living, especially with things that we're coming up against.
And we had a 6.2 over around Hokkaido in Japan, and luckily no tsunami. They do say about 10 to 20% probability that there could be something 6.2 or larger, typically after something of this particular magnitude. It is very earthquake-prone area, and of course Casey had his prophecies, but again, the dates didn't come out right at all, because, he was talking about major changes in the 70s, and it didn't happen. And even right now, really, I think if we didn't have any technology involved, we would still have even more time, honestly. It's the technology that's amping everything up. Chinese bank issues record $2.82 billion to the country's agricultural sector for food security. Reduced harvests expected due to abnormal weather. Well, it's, hey, China said, we control the weather. Weather warfare is well underway. And, even though China might be doing it to the U.S., and the U.S. might be doing it to China, maybe Russia, again, it's the average people that are suffering, and in reality, it's the system doing it to humanity. As you have Zuckerberg revealed that Meta's top social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, were censoring skeptics about the plague upon the land without any real evidence. Oh yeah, but they keep going on, and they keep saying things that now, pretty soon it's going to be a majority that doesn't believe anything that they're told. Right now, that percentage is growing leaps and bounds. And then, of course, we have all the UFO disclosure stuff going on. Now, you have your people that are, let's say, fundamentalist in mindset, and if there is extraterrestrial life abundantly out there, that blows away most of what they believe, and all of a sudden, oops, guess we backed the wrong horse there. Can't have that. So instead, they'll just think, well, it's all going to be just a farce, and it's all an illusion, and it's all holographic. But the reality is, the evidence everywhere, all over the globe. There's every single tribe of people has these stories. Ancient day, modern day, abduction, cattle mutilations. I mean, we could go on and on and on. So here they were talking about one crashed UFO recovered by the military distorted space and time, leaving one investigator nauseous and distorted when he went in and discovered it was much larger inside than out. How is that possible? Well, yeah, we are in a holographic representation of reality, so to speak. And yeah, we can bend space and time. And if anybody's ever done one of those trips down to Peru or some of those other, places down in South America and tried a certain substance, you might have seen the fact that it's all an illusion of sorts, but a very real illusion with a purpose behind it. Oh, can you imagine if you had the understanding enough to alter the reality? Could blow your mind. And so they are definitely letting a lot of the cat out of the bag right now. And again, this is all about watch here, because we're doing other stuff over there. No, we don't want you seeing that, so we're going to let you see this.
Never let a good crisis go to waste, ever, 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 ever. But these things that we're dealing with here are very real, for many different reasons. They've allowed this information out for people to kind of get a taste of, to chew on, to see what that feels like. What does this taste like? What is going on in this world? What's going on this planet? But this is really, curious. Like I said, I had a really horrible time in school. School was my nemesis. I didn't do good on anything. I always got my paper back and it was full of red check marks. So me thinking that the school information is just like the word of God and everything needs to be done that way, and then I'm always getting everything wrong, that really damaged my self-esteem. But, if children were not put through school and if they weren't shown that they were wrong, would this person have gotten nauseous and disoriented? I don't know. I think they would have had an easier time accepting something. But since they're so schooled in what is, it's like a really freakish thing that happened to them. I kind of feel bad. This is very traumatic for someone.
Yeah. They had a guy go into it. It was the size of a football stadium while the outside was 30 feet in diameter. And we were talking about that Vegas UFO incident, again, like a 20-foot circle with two big 8 to 10 foot tall people in it. It seems a little cramped, doesn't it? Well, maybe not.
Right. Maybe not.
Octopuses can rewire their brains by editing their own RNA on the fly. Isn't that amazing? And, for those that have followed us for quite a while, Cindy's come right out and said in the past that octopuses are extraterrestrial. They're not from here.
They're definitely not from here. These are very intelligent beings. These are beings that have come to us to bring us information. And even dragonflies. Dragonflies are not from here either. There's a multitude of entities that are here on Earth, and if you spend some time with them and feel them, you can really get the backstory about where they're from, what they're about, what they've come here to teach us. Very beautiful creatures, and do things that are just can really wow somebody. It's like, wow, how does that happen? But they're here to teach.
Oh, absolutely. Whales.
Yeah.
Whales. They are in many ways holding everything together. So again, there's life forms that we might think because they don't build everything that we build and cause all the chaos that we cause, that they're less than us, but they're not. And in fact, in many cases, some of these life forms are way more advanced than us.
They are. And with the whales, it's such a beautiful thing because with their voice, with their songs, they're the ones who help hold this matrix together. So when you see things happening to whales, that's very bad news.
Yeah, absolutely. And over here we see France demolishes 7,000-year-old monument for a do-it-yourself store. There was several comments about this. Karnak, yeah, this is a Neolithic, megalithic site that has been talked about, and yeah, can you believe that? Destroying stuff of this nature. Well, the reality is that's part of why we had the war in Iraq. So much of it was to destroy any sort of leftovers, literally destroying evidence of that which goes against the narrative of the control system is what they are always doing. They can't have that. They can't have all their house of cards collapsing before them. So, yeah, absolutely. This is another atrocity, but it really shouldn't surprise us. Now, these indigenous kids survived 40 days in the jungle by themselves. And, these are kids from 13 to 11 months. And they survived 40 days by themselves. 40 days. How many people in the U.S. could you plop down in the middle of a jungle in South America with nothing, no food, no water, no nothing, and you think they'll survive 40 days? It's not going to be many. It's not going to be many. The children's parents and the pilot were killed in the accident. The kids were 13, 9, 4, and 1. 13, 9, they're part of a indigenous tribe there. They're native, so they understand. They're in tune with nature. This is how they can survive when, as the government has said, if we lose the grid, 90% of the people in this country aren't going to be here. It's because, most people don't have a clue of how to survive on their own. And, universal basic income, yeah, that's another thing along those same lines. They don't want you knowing how to take care of yourself. They want to take care of you for, you. They're gonna give you everything you need. Yeah, sure. We could see again when you look at parrots. This is a beautiful macaw. Are they just again? Parrot see, parrot do, like monkey see, monkey do? Is there a lot more intelligence? It's, again, consciousness, it doesn't originate in the brain. No. And it's the same thing with these birds. I mean, even though his brain might not be so large, his brain's not, it's not hindering his consciousness to a high degree. And again, animals are way smarter than we would think.
Animals are way smarter. They're way more pure. As far as reading energy, they are masters at it because that's what they have to do. They have to know how to do that. And
they're much better than humans.
Much better, and a lot of that is because they're not indoctrinated. They're not sent to a place and told how they're supposed to act and how things are supposed to go. I mean, look at how beautiful Mother Nature is. Look at the perfection of Mother Nature. Just one of those feathers, it blends perfectly with the rest. And those colors, those contrasts, I mean, consciousness, there was a conversation that pulled together everything that you see on this parrot. And is that not perfect? Should we not just trust nature? Look at that. Can anybody else create something like that?
As always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without your support over there. If you need to make an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. Much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.